Hi, I'm Megan McCormick. Make sure to listen to my friends on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Doc here for DetroitBeardCollective.com, Detroit's premier grooming company. Visit DetroitBeardCollective.com if your beard is feeling dry, scaly, if you need to maintain your beard. This day and age, there's products out there that helps you take care of your beard. Beard butters will make your beard feel softer, better smelling than ever before. The Doc actually rocked a beard earlier this spring and summer, and I actually used the beard butter. I heard that Adam was into styling, and I'm like, you know what? Let me take care of myself. So I went to DetroitBeardCollective.com and bought the beard butter. My face actually does feel smoother. I definitely checked out the products at the Detroit Beard Collective. They got great t-shirts, oils, the ultra-popular Beard Crate, which is a wide assortment of a bunch of different Detroit Beard Collective products. So definitely support those who support us, DetroitBeardCollective.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Thank you, and welcome to another episode of the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me for the episode 117, I believe, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz?
What's up, cuz? I'm surprised that I'm still alive at this point, man.
I think you and I are both struggling, man. Came to the studio today, fired everything up, and forgot to turn on the big juice.
Yeah, that's right.
like, why aren't there no sound piping in through the headphones? We're pushing all the buttons, and we're like, oh, just push on the button, dude.
Dude, these lines, though, are killing me. I don't know how many more weeks of this I can take. I'm glad we're at a bye.
I'm salty, too, for other things. Not only are the Lions, playing terrible, not only are they getting crushed in London, not only are they embarrassing themselves, when they come back and do press conferences, Jim Caldwell really doesn't address the football matters at hand. He wants to go off on a tangent. We're going to get into all that news with the Lions, but I'm also salty for another reason. So you play a football schedule, you're a fan of a team, and I'm a fan of Sparty, and you realize, okay, the perception of the program is that, hey, you're winning games, but the style points are less than nothing. You're not blowing out the bad teams. It's close. Fine. So I'm not expecting when college football comes out and announces, hey, who are the 4 teams? The first poll came out. I'm like, okay, I don't expect Michigan State to be there. I expect them to be 5, 6, right around where they're at. Okay, fine. So then the list shakes out, and I'm a simpleton, simple kind of guy. When you see teams with a 1 next to their loss record, above teams with a 0, if Michigan State's not in the top 4, fine. But there are more than 4 teams that are undefeated. But to rank teams with 1 loss ahead of teams with no losses, no matter the style points, really is a troll job. In the end, that's what it is. You're sparking debate. You're trying to say that a 1-loss Alabama team is better than some teams that are undefeated, and that is, that's farcy in my opinion. That's bullshit, and I'm pissed. I'm not saying that I wanted State to be in the top 5, but all the list of the top 10 teams should all have 0 losses next to their name. You can't argue to me that any team with 1 loss is better than a team with no losses. And so the way this poll is constructed is obvious that they're trying to troll people. They're trying to spark debate. And that's all I'm salty about, is that the way the 12 people on the committee are ranking these teams is a bunch of BS and nonsense.
You know what? This is something that I think you can walk in lockstep with, and I agree with you 100%. I totally agree. There's no reason Alabama should be in the top 4 whatsoever. I mean, they lost to an Ole Miss team that lost 2 games this season. Come on now. Come on. I mean, they lost to Memphis, and I understand Memphis has kind of redone the culture there, and they're undefeated as well. But geez Louise, come on. What are you doing?
If you want to rank Michigan State as the worst team with no losses, fine. But the way it should shake down is, all the teams with 0 losses should be ranked in some order. So decide to rank it and go for it and see what happens. The fact of the matter is, the committee is really trying to spark debate. They might have some ulterior motives, and it really makes the decision-making week to week going to be funny to watch if you're going to start doing that kind of stuff.
Dude, and then you got a Notre Dame team in there who has 1 loss as well, and they're above teams like Baylor, Michigan State, TCU, Iowa. I mean, then Memphis is all the way down at 13. And you have Oklahoma State, who's 8-0 as well. it blows my mind the way that they come up with these things, the way they do these things.
And granted, I do appreciate that they are taking into account strength of schedule, because you can't be like, a team scheduling all cupcakes and then expect to be in the top 4. Fine, but you are playing week to week. And so the rankings should always go, the teams with no losses should be ranked higher than the teams with 1 loss. That's a given. But they're taking into account strength of schedule. They're taking into account how they're playing now. And the way that they're doing it just makes people that are fans of teams angry. Like, basically, you're saying that, okay, a loss, if you're playing well, is better than squeaking out a win. And that philosophy is nonsense, in my opinion.
Do you think that Alabama just got a pass because they're Alabama?
Yeah, they give weight to teams that have, a strong cachet, that have, historic history.
It's the sticker on the helmet, basically.
And they know that Alabama, if they got into the playoff, is going to compete. They're going to be competitive. Mm-hmm. They play a tough schedule. Their strength of schedule is like in the top 5 in the country. So they're playing all the teams. But in the end, they have a loss. So I don't care what you feel about Alabama. Michigan State should be ranked ahead of them. Period. Okay, so fine. So if I beat you in a sport, you can come talk trash and say, hey, I'm better than you. You may even be better. I may have got lucky. But on that given day, when we played, we won. I won. So you can't rank teams with 1 loss higher than teams with no losses. And it's ridiculous. I know people are going to say, well, Alabama's better. They played tougher teams, and yeah, they're, the conferences are stronger. But in the end, that's just my opinion. And I do believe the first go around with the playoff was so successful. Everything happened greatly. Ohio State beat the vaunted Alabama, that they're going to expand it in the future. It's not going to be long before we get to 8 teams, and then we can end this debate, get into the top 8, and handle your business. Because, if Michigan State goes undefeated and ends up 5, forget it. Come in here, I'm flipping everything over.
Let me pour a little bit of more salt in the wounds here for you. You do realize Ole Miss is ranked 18th.
Yeah.
18th. So the team that Alabama lost to, according to these rankings here, are beneath Michigan State, beneath Florida State, Memphis. I mean, there's all these schools ahead of them, and still Alabama gets the nod there.
Whenever you have human beings deciding what's going on, this is what can happen. I mean, literally, I truly believe the facts will dictate that if Michigan State wins versus Ohio State on the road and they win out, they defeat potentially in Iowa, who's a tough team right now, is undefeated. If they go and do those things, they can't leave the Big Ten champion out.
No.
They won't do that.
There's no way.
But the way that this first poll came out leads you to believe that if there's 5 or 6 undefeated teams, they may look at how State won and say, you know what? That win versus Oregon was garbage. You barely squeaked out versus Michigan. You probably barely squeaked out versus Ohio State and Iowa. We're going to leave you out. If Michigan State's 5 undefeated and there's 4 and there's a 1-loss team, all hell is breaking loose. All hell will break loose. It can't happen. People are still saying and remaining calm and saying Michigan State can handle their business, but the seed of doubt has been planted in the Doc's mind, and I'm panicking.
Here's the deal. You have to win. That's most important. Just go win your games. And then, as you're winning, you have to remember how you're winning. So you have to pile on, which blows my mind. Why you have to sit there and you have to run up a score on a team that's basically has a wounded knee here. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what has to happen, and that's what they reward. I mean, you've seen Clemson basically jail sex Miami the other week, right? Clemson's number 1 now. They sat there and they hung a whole bunch of crooked numbers and didn't give up anything. They're number 1 now.
Clemson.
That's what Michigan State's going to have to do. They're going to be taking on Nebraska this week. They're going to have to sit there, and Nebraska's not a good team.
Right now we got our lines, for Michigan State, we got most of our offensive linemen back, so it's looking good. But really, in the end, for Michigan State, they got to address the secondary and special teams. If they don't play any better, teams teams that can pass the ball and do some damage, like if Michigan State ever were to match up versus TCU, I'd probably crap my pants.
It'd be all over.
It'd be tough to keep up with that. It'd be tough because that team is sick.
But if you match up with a team like Alabama,
I think teams that
kind of like maybe Ohio State might give you some trouble because they can throw the ball a little bit. But a team like Alabama, a team like Iowa, those teams that run the ball, Michigan State's going to stop you. But you're right, that secondary is a huge question mark.
Man, but that first poll came out, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is how they're going to really do it.
It sucked you in, huh?
But the good thing is there's a lot of time left. I don't think there's going to be 10 to 11 teams undefeated at the end because of the way the schedule is going to work out. These teams are going to start butting heads sooner or later. But please don't let it be where Michigan State ends up out of it if they do win all their games. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, and And in the end, my theory is a one-loss team is never, ever better. Even if they're playing great, even if they won last week 100-0, you still have one loss. You're not as good as a team that doesn't have any losses.
You got to remember, too, man, a lot of these teams are going to cannibalize each other. They're going to sit there and feast on each other because they have interdivisional games that still have to be played. So a lot of things are going to kind of shake out here. And as long as Michigan State takes care of their business and handles what they have to handle by beating teams like Ohio State, beating teams like Iowa, their resume is going to be strong enough, and there's no way a committee can leave them out. If anything, if they beat Ohio State, they beat Iowa. I don't care if they're close games. I don't care if they're shaky games. As long as they beat them, you could see them possibly being a number 2 seed.
All right, let's get into the meat of the podcast. We're going to talk about the Lions. You know, obviously they got destroyed in London. It was over by 10 o'clock. I was recording the countdown podcast when the score got out of hand, and it was embarrassing. I wasn't even going to put them on the list, but you know, they played so bad that it had to be commented on. And then, you know, they came back, and unfortunately they were let back into the country. How'd that happen? Damn, we couldn't get 100,000 people to sign something. But they came back.
England doesn't want them. Come on now.
And on Tuesday, Jim Caldwell addressed the media. We got to talk about that, what's going on with our Lions. We're going to get a chance to check in with our friends at the DetroitSportsNation.com website. Julius Porter, a great writer. He's been writing he's probably one of the reasons Caldwell has been mad. He's been writing some scathing pieces lately.
You read those articles, man.
Yeah, DetroitSportsNation.com, man. He's been lighting it up. We're going to get a chance to talk to him a little bit about the Lions. And then we got to peek into the Pistons. Why can't we just talk about the 4-0 Pistons instead of the 3-1 Pistons? Because, that game versus Indiana on Tuesday night, that was kind of brutal. That was not a game that was representative of the start that the Pistons had. It was terrible. It was a terrible game, and we'll talk about, why the Pistons are swinging wildly from one extreme to the other. If we can find that happy medium of playing well on offense and defense, we'll be okay. But if your bench is going to score 2 points and you're going to go on give up a 20-0 run versus a team that doesn't have any wins, well, we got to talk about that. Is if that's likely to be an aberration or something maybe that we can look for more often right away. All right, cuz. So the Lions got destroyed in London. It was very surprising. It was very devastating because Kansas City wasn't known as a team that was, lighting it up offensively.
Kansas City's garbage. Come on now. Don't make this better than what it is.
It was bad.
Kansas City is the equivalent of a turd sandwich, bro. That's what they went up against. And you know what? They got poop all over themselves. That's what happened in London.
So basically what's going on is the Lions, when it comes time to execute their scripted plays, they do well. They start off games with good drives, and then once the other team, makes an adjustment or gets on the field for the first time, it was a wrap. I mean, we marched down the field. Joik Bell had a nice run. Hey, the running game. Joik Bell showed some explosiveness. It wasn't a negative 2-yard gain. He had a good play, keeping it positive for a second. And then, you don't get the touchdown. You settle for the field goal. And then Kansas City gets the ball, and it's like, boop, boop. And the key play was, again, if you look at that game and breaking it down, on third down, you don't get off the field, that first drive. Mm-hmm. That third down, Kansas City executed, and boom, and then that was a wrap. They scored at will. The Lions rolled over. After that initial touchdown by KC, the Lions were defeated, and they were embarrassed.
Here's an idea. You said, I think you put it perfectly. You said when they come out, their first couple plays are all scripted, and they do well. They move the ball down the field. So why don't you just have a set of scripted plays that you run for the first time you have possession, the second time you have possession, and the third time you have possession? If you can score
everything.
If you can score on your first 3 drives of a game, right? You're going to have the other team spinning their wheels, and they're going to be so put off and so unable to sit there and come back on you that they're going to be forced to throw the ball. All right? So that's going to allow your defensive line to then attack that quarterback. I don't understand why the Lions make things so complicated. And this was a game that I think we both expected them to come out and actually show some fight, show some gusto, show a little something, have a pulse. That's all we wanted was a pulse, because you just blew out 3 coaches the week before. The way they did that is kind of screwy, because normally you wait for a bye week. That way your new coach can come in and install some different plays and kind of work what he wants to work, but not the way the Lions do it. They do everything ass backwards. So no pulse, no gusto, no nothing. You're right. They rolled over and they played dead. And you know what? That's probably what shocked me the most out of that whole game, because the score got ran up on them. It seemed like anybody wearing a Kansas City jersey could just walk right into that end zone. Guys that were pulling off the bench. They had third-string running backs in this game just sitting there waltzing into the end zone. They had wide receivers who have only caught like 15 passes all year, catching touchdowns. It was unbelievable the way that this team performed.
The one positive was it was a 9:30 kickoff, so we could handle our business. We knew by 10:30 that the game was done. You had the choice to turn it off and go about your day, and it was a nice weekend after the crappy Halloween. Other than that, there weren't too many positives to take away from that game. It was devastating. You had miscommunication between Stafford and Abdullah leading to a pick. You had Stafford playing okay, I guess, but in the end, it wasn't good enough. The offense wasn't good enough. The defense wasn't good enough. And then what was so devastating was Caldwell at halftime said he liked the fight of his team. He's like, this team is showing fight.
Yeah.
To a sideline reporter. I wish these sideline reporters were allowed to kind of be real and honest with these guys without the fear of maybe being yanked or embarrassed. But I would have just said, showed fight. Are you serious? You're down like 31-3.
What game are you watching? What game is he watching? Seriously. There was no fight there. That was probably the worst part, too, is the defense. The defense, like we said, hasn't been good this year at all. Has not. But the defense at least shows up and shows some semblance of being part of an organized group. All right? I'm not willing to say you're a team, but part of an organized group that kind of keeps you in games. Where was the defense? The defense was non-existent. And that's something that we haven't been able to say for the last, 30-some games here? No, 23 games here. 24 games. All right, the defense is at least showing up all last season, and up until week 8, they have shown up. So I don't.
No, really, it's befuddling.
I don't.
Now, okay, so now
you see fight in that? There was no fight.
And so after the way the game unfolded, now you have the editor of the Detroit News. You have people who are higher ups in newspapers coming out with articles saying, hey, sell the team. Let's blow this up. And, more national media are coming out saying, wow, this team has no talent.
Hold on, wait, before you go any further. Were you a little bit surprised by all that? Because I know when I was flipping through the newspapers and I was going online and I was looking at different things, I was really surprised at all of the editorials that came out about blowing this team up, basically, and how ownership has to step in and do something, whether or not they sell the team or whether they strip the power from the guys who are in charge. I was really surprised at the backlash from the media right now, because you've never seen that from the media. The media usually doesn't do that. They just go and they report the story, and everybody knows. Everybody's well aware how bad the Lions are.
Everyone's aware, but at the same time now there's a new owner, and she's 90 years old. And so before, when William Clay Ford owned the team, you really almost there was 0.0 chance he was ever going to sell. Now you have his wife. She's a little bit older. She doesn't really kind of maybe know exactly what it takes to be an owner of an NFL franchise. While the percentages are slim that they would sell, maybe they felt like there's maybe now a 1% chance, 2% chance that Dan Gilbert sweeps in and does something with this. But the Lions really, in the end, haven't made. Mrs. Ford hasn't made, because I really don't think she cares what Mayhew's doing. She's not having a meeting now talking about the X's and O's with the Lions. She's talking to, Harvey Chomsky regarding, hey, what were the numbers last week? How much did we make? How much did we give out? Oh, we made, $500,000 last week. All's good. Go about our day. All that noise. They didn't even come out and talk after the worst 2 performances you've had. They haven't even talked because they don't care. They don't have to care. You have a shitty product, but people pay for it and it's profitable. So you don't have to change. You had the Pistons, Tigers. They all sucked. There was nobody in attendance. They made changes. The Lions, 50 years, they're profitable. And it's a good deal. Mrs. Ford should never sell. She should come out. She actually should come out if she wanted to be a boss and be like, why would I sell a $1 billion company that makes money every year, and just show the sheet? I'm not selling nothing, But they've done basically everything but pimp slap the fans, basically. Caldwell came out yesterday, and there was no reconciliation, no nothing. All the fans want is someone to kind of, someone that we can look to and say, hey, this guy's on our side. This guy's putting up a wall and is like, no, it's y'all versus me, and I'm good,
Just acknowledge what's going on. Acknowledge what's on the field. Don't pretend like it's okay. Like, hey, we're running the right scheme. Hey, we're running the right play.
You're not running nothing right.
Executing
nothing
it right.
is right.
Don't tell us this. We're not dumb. We're not idiots. The fans of this town are not stupid. They realize what's going on. They may be loyal to a fault, and that's why, like you said, there's no reason for Mrs. Ford to ever sell this company, because they show up, and they show up in droves, and they eat this garbage up because they're loyal, they're fans, and you know what? The pride of the line beats in their chest, all right? That's what it is.
And we're going to always talk about them, and we're not going to give up our fandom. But, yeah, to talk about selling a team, even from the media standpoint, is hilarious. But I think we're onto something, and something that Josh Katzenstein said one of the very first few times we talked was very interesting, and now you start to see maybe where this is coming from. Josh Katzenstein, regular on the podcast, friend of the podcast, when he was talking about when Sue left, if you remember, he said, Sue was a pain in the butt to talk to. He was a jerk. He wouldn't give us availability. And right now, what are you seeing more and more of? And on your appearance with Justin Rose on the webcast, Justin said the media is going more and more with these teams. Let's have our own team writers. Let's shelter the coverage. So if you're sheltering the coverage, who are you kind of dissing? The newspapers.
Right.
And so they're probably feeling the diss. They might be getting some maybe emails that aren't so nice regarding, hey, don't write this, don't say this, say it this way, don't say it this way. Why is Josh peppering our coach week in and week out? And they're probably like, screw this. Boom. Now I see you weak. Boom. I'm kicking you when you're down, baby. Sell the team. The Fords suck. So the newspapers aren't, the newspapers are smart. There's some ulterior motives there. And I wonder what it is. And I think I'm right.
Here's the thing, though. If this media in the Detroit market is so bad,
it's not bad at all.
No. What do you know what people in New York go through?
I listen to Boomer and Carton in the mornings. They're nasty.
Do you realize that they sit there and they take photographs and they mock up different pictures and put this on the back of the New York Post? And I'm not talking like small little itty bitty ones. I'm talking full spreads. Yeah. Full spreads.
Page 6 in New York is sick.
They just annihilate teams and they annihilate coaches. Yeah. Come on. Like the media here, I'm not going to say they're soft, but they sure aren't brutal, all right? They're not ruthless. What they are is they're doing their job, and they're trying to do a job as fairly as possible. If you give them nothing, they're going to sit there and they're going to press you. If you don't want to be pressed, just answer the question as truthfully as possible. That's all you have to do. You have Jim Caldwell come out, and basically he says the same thing. Check the report. Check the report. We're not going to discuss that. And then he comes out and he says other things where he just speaks in double talk, where, I didn't talk to ownership about, firing the coaches and this and that. Oh, well, it'd been idiotic for me not to sit there and speak to ownership. Well, which one is it, Jim? Which one is it? You have to pick a side, bro. You can't play both sides of the fence here. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then he comes out and he calls the media the Dungeon of Doom. Get the hell out of here, bro. Who are you? You're a freaking Martian. It's not even that bad. All you have to do is go in there and answer the questions. That's all you have to do. You are comical. You are comical. You and your befuddled looks on the sidelines are comical.
You know what's the best comment?
You're a joke of a coach.
You know what was one of the best comments he made was, he's like, I'm still standing here giving this press conference, so your question regarding my job status is kind of stupid. So I was like, oh, okay. I think
he's starting to feel the pressure is what it is.
It's tough, man. I understand what it's like, but if you're going to go the PC route, stick to it, man. He's starting to crack it a little bit, and to tackle the media, what's that going to do? You're never going to win because they can print stuff 24/7. He speaks once or twice a week and fulfills his obligations, but the media can talk 24/7. They can bring up a lot more stuff, and his record in college is being talked about. It's one of those things where just try to fix this football team. Try to do something that would indicate to anybody that's watching that has a brain that you're moving in the right direction. Your general manager who speaks to us 4 times a year comes out and says, well, yeah, we're more likely to be buyers, and then nothing really happens. You sign a nobody linebacker. You don't trade Calvin. You don't make any moves. You don't do really nothing. And maybe we can all have hope that Mayhew, LeWand, and every scout comes out there. But then you see today, if you follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, they're sprinkling out information that there's a new guy coming up through the ranks that's going to look differently at the scouting department. Are you kidding me? Did you see the way they kind of cushioned the wording? Your scouting department is a complete and utter disaster, top to bottom.
It's been crap for 50 years.
It's terrible. It's utterly terrible. And you're promoting from within. It's
no, you can't.
We're not being negative, right? Fill me in. We're not being negative.
No, we're being factual.
And here's the thing: when Caldwell first came here, we said, not Wisenhunt, not Caldwell. We were like,
we really didn't want him at all.
This doesn't feel good,
right?
This didn't feel good, and now it comes to fruition that
I want that as a drop, by the way.
What's that?
It didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good at all. We were like, Caldwell, and I tried to be positive and said he's a gatekeeper. He'll maybe level it out with several 8-8, 9-7 type years, but you can't have a solid number 1 or 2, a solid top 5 wide receiver, a top 15 quarterback, and not do nothing. Nothing. There has been nothing of note to talk about the Lions, and that's why people are freaking out because, seriously, we're the worst team again in the league, and we're right back to square one. You could have at least been 4-4. Seattle takes a step back. They're 4-4. Fine. They've had some success. They took a step back. They've let some people go. They've dealt with injuries. They're 4-4. We take a step back. It's 1-7. And you have more. And then the way the story unfolds is what's pissing people off. You have the commissioner saying, Roger Goodell comes out and says, Martha Ford's a great owner. Yeah, you got screwed in Seattle. You have players that come out that are on the radio and they're like, ownership is great. This is so great. Da-da-da-da.
Sure,
it's not great.
Nobody's held accountable. Dude,
it's not great.
Imagine, okay, so you're at your job. All right, you're doing what you do for 9 to 5. Imagine if you had a boss that just let you run amok, let you do whatever you want. You weren't held accountable. You could screw stuff up left and right, and you know what? It's okay, Jimmy. Here's a gold star. You're A-okay. You're still going to get your check. You just keep effing things up all week long. Hell yeah, ownership would be great. Nobody's held accountable around here.
Nice fat check, and I get to lose week in, week out, and go talk on Fox Sports Detroit. Great, I'll do that.
It's insane, absolutely insane. Can we talk about how there were no moves made at the trade deadline? And I know it's the NFL, and I know trades don't usually happen. I get it. They usually don't, and if they are, they're usually something small. But you had a piece out there in Calvin Johnson. You had a guy out there like Matt Stafford. They're not doing anything here. They're not. I know Calvin wants to win here. At least he comes out and says that. I have no idea what Stafford's brain's at. I have no clue. He's on Mars. I believe it. I swear to God, I believe it. Why not sit there and try to get something for these guys? I don't care if it's a blockbuster deal or not. Just do something, all right? If you could get a 2nd round and a 4th round and possibly a 5th round pick for Calvin Johnson, because this is what was being talked about, you can send him to Carolina. You can send him to Carolina. They have no wide receivers out there. You do realize that, right? They've got Jonathan Stewart's decrepit ass. That's all they have. That and Killer Cam. They've got nothing else. You send them to a place like Carolina and you get their 2nd, 4th, and possibly a 5th? Yeah, sign me up. You take Matt Stafford, and you pose this question to me on Twitter. Would you trade Stafford for Kaepernick? I said, hell yes, I would. Hell yes. All day long. Kaepernick's cap hit's much more friendly than Stafford's. Kaepernick has won. He's got you to a Super Bowl. He didn't win it, but he got you to one. All right? He's made big throws when it counts, and he's won playoff games. Stafford's never done any of that. I don't care what Stafford's records are and what his yardage is and how many passes he throws and how many interceptions and I don't care about all that because they're all in garbage time. He has the most garbage stats you've ever seen. The most garbage stats. Give me a winner. Give me somebody who can win. And I know Kaepernick looks like he's kind of a up and down guy because he had a lot of success with Jim Harbaugh. And the last 2 years or so, it's not looked real good for him. But you know what? You get a good coach in here. You get somebody who can do something. I think he's a good player. And you have a guy like Matt Stafford that you could possibly trade off for some commodities, either draft picks or another quarterback. Yeah, sign me up. Because you know what needs to be improved? That offensive and defensive line. If you improve that O-line, you know what? Kaepernick looks a lot better behind it. Stafford would probably look a lot better behind it. But you know what? They don't do anything. They sit there on their thumbs and spin.
Yeah, and even in the PR department, okay, you've taken the stance, you want to be PR Caldwell, stick to that and do it all the way. Don't go off on a tangent. And you have Golden Tate, who, I don't know, week to week, what is,
I think he's manic depressant.
He's
really up, he's really down. I don't know.
Something's going on.
This is your field. You need to diagnose this.
I think he's probably in total shock at like, oh my God, potentially I could be here for 3 more years of this.
Yep.
And he's losing and there's total disrespect and he's getting, with all those followers on Twitter, he's probably getting some of the nastiest messages he's ever seen. And then he comes out and he's like, if you guys think that you're better, send an application. Send an application? That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for, hey, we are devastated.
I've got 3 on the way.
Yeah. We're devastated that we're performing this way for our fans. Detroit deserves a winner. We need, you know what? I'm canceling my vacation to Florida this week, and I'm hitting the books.
I've got one written in Crayola. I've got one written in Sharpie.
Send an application.
I got one actually printed up off the computer. I'm not really sure what they were looking for. The one in Crayola, though, has nice unicorns and rainbows drawn all over it. I figured that would get Martha's attention. She'd be like, oh, it's pretty. Let's put this on the fridge.
Draw design plays, something, or you know what I would do? I would just, here's my application. Here, I'm going to send it. I'm going to put 16 games where the Lions have a much bigger score than the other team and then show them, like, this is the goal. Goal 1. Lions at 16 games, and it'll be like Lions 27, Chiefs 13, and stars. This is what I can bring to the table.
Right.
My team will have more points than the other team, and then I'll put dollar signs.
Do you give yourself a loss for the Denver game because
no,
that's an actual NFL defense right there.
She might believe it. Right. This guy thinks he can get a 16-0. He might be good.
16-0.
And then dollar signs.
Right.
I'm gonna put dollar signs.
Lots of dollar signs.
Lots of dollar signs. And 12.50 beers. I propose a 25% increase in the price of beers. I think we can handle the market.
You're not winning any fans over.
They'll pay it. We'll pay. It's 12 now. It's 12 now for a cup with Calvin on it. So I'll propose that. I'll help the football team a little bit, and then I might go 0-16, but at least I think the press conferences.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time, right?
I would have. Yeah, it would be the first time. And Stafford. And then what sucks is, I feel like I really do, and I don't want to insult the Lions players, but I feel like they're sheep. Like they're basically parroting everything that Caldwell says.
Yes.
Matthew's like, yeah, the Detroit media's tough. Okay.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna all stick together. Yeah, we're not executing.
Go play in Chicago. Go play in New York.
It's not good.
Go play in LA, bro.
It's not good at
Come
all.
on.
It was.
Come on. Go play in Texas.
And then
watch how they hang you up by your insides in Texas.
Okay, so we all wanted changes. And then what's worse is other organizations who are similar to the Lions, the Titans, who went out and got Wisenhunt. They blew his ass out. Wisenhunt's fired. Guys that have lost in London have all been fired. Do we get anybody that's fired? Nothing. Not even an obligatory firing just for the hell of it. Nothing.
Dude.
Nothing. They got it made. They
do.
And they know what's going on. They know we're always going to talk about them.
The front office doesn't keep anybody accountable. But going into this bye week,
you know what's better? You know why the NFL is so successful? Because next year the schedule eases up. You don't have to be that good. We play garbage teams.
Yeah.
So we can sneak into 7 wins next year.
That's why the Lions can never put 2 winning seasons back to back.
Right.
Because they get an easy one, they get into the playoffs, and they come back the next year and they're dumpster fire. But going into this bye week, right? I would have loved to have seen Jim Caldwell fired. I'd love seeing Terrell Austin promoted just to see what he's got. Maybe he is the second coming of Bill Belichick. Who knows? So you do something like that. That shakeup, I think, makes the entire fan base feel like, all right, Martha's watching the same thing we're watching. She gets it. She understands. Now, I understand why they don't do that, and I get that, and that's fine. But what I want to happen right now in this bye week, I want Martha Ford on the phone. I want her back channeling through different people, different agents, different football people, talking to them, trying to line up her next general manager. I want her to find somebody that she can put in charge of this mess. Somebody who knows what they're doing. Somebody who has a plan. I want somebody to come in, talk to her and say, hey, here's my plan. This is what I think we need to do. This is where I see that you're faulty at. These are things that I think you're good at, which there's none. And I want to address this, and I think we can build a winner here by doing this. I want Martha on the phone having these conversations. I don't expect Martin Mayhew and Tom Lawan to lose their jobs right now because it doesn't happen in the NFL. It just doesn't. I don't foresee Jim Caldwell losing his job because I don't think they believe enough in Terrell Austin yet. All right. And I don't know if he is able to handle a head coaching job. I know he interviewed for one, but I don't know if he's able to handle that. And I don't know if this team could handle another coaching fire like that. They might just fraction and just disintegrate. They're crap right now, but I mean, shoot, they at least got to win, right? And looking at the schedule, I think they got maybe one more against that San Francisco team that's now playing Blaine Gabbert, whatever. Absolute garbage out there. But I need Martha doing something. I need her to be proactive. I need her, if she's not going to run the day-to-day, which is fine, I don't expect her to. She's like 100. I need a football mind in that office who is conducting everything. I need somebody up there who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about, and they have a plan. Go to the Patriots. Ask to speak to somebody there. Go to Green Bay. Ask to speak to somebody there. Go to Denver even. Ask to speak to somebody there. Go. Find somebody who knows what they're doing and blow all this out at the end of the season. When week 17 comes to a close and your last game is played, blow it all out. Start over. Because there's nothing here. Nothing here. That's why I wouldn't be upset if you traded Calvin Johnson. I wouldn't be upset if you traded Matt Stafford. You know what? I wouldn't be upset if you traded a guy like DeAndre Levy. And I think he's got a bright future. I really do. But I wouldn't be upset because you need pieces. You have to build. You don't have anything here. You've got nothing to hold on to. All you have is a really nice stadium, and you have fans who are loyal to a fault that pack it every single week. You need to reward them somehow. So blow it all up. Clean house. Get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing on the phone and get this going.
If a move to blow out Mayhew or Caldwell is to take place, we have to root for Green Bay to just annihilate us. I know that you said that, if I recall, and I know I laughed, that you said that prior to the year.
I did
You
too.
did say that Detroit's going to Green Bay
When we were doing the schedule.
for a victory.
Yep. That was before the season started.
Why?
I was looking, dude. I was like, okay, so they just got done playing. They got done playing Denver, and then they have a game this week. So they're not going to have enough time to prepare. Detroit gets 2 weeks to prepare. They can go into Lambeau. It's not going to be frigid there, right? Because they struggle in the cold, so it's not going to be frigid. It'll be decent weather. Yeah, they got a shot at this. I really built myself up into believing this.
Yeah, they had a shot to win at Green Bay. Yeah, okay.
I was hoping you were going to remember that.
You're really weird.
I was really hoping you weren't going to remember that.
No, I remember. That sticks with you. A win in Green Bay with this team without Sue.
That sticks with you.
That sticks with you.
It's like herpes. It sticks with you.
And the Lions will just go out there and play their best game of the year and be like, "Woo, we're 2-7."
Yeah, it's going to be.
It's all good here. See what we can do if we play well.
Yeah,
and then go out and get jail sex by Oakland.
Dude, I hope. Dude, they can't win in Green Bay.
No, they can't. If we want
Yeah,
to champion
see,
the position for change, we need to blow out. We need to get blown out by Green Bay.
See, this was my thinking, right? So Green Bay plays Denver in Denver. They then come back, and now they have to travel to Carolina, who's 7-0, play the Panthers, and then they get Detroit at home. So they're 2 weeks on the road. Detroit has a bye. And, teams are usually good after a bye, coming off of a bye. I think Detroit will be like one of the only teams who doesn't win this year off of a bye. Ugh. So you have 2 weeks to prepare. You should be good.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
I might have been smoking the funny stuff. I don't know.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Hopefully, we're going to chat with Julius Porter from DetroitSportsNation.com. Stick with us. Doc and Jock, Detroit Sports Podcast Network, episode 117.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U. If you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out FanaticU.com. Check out FanaticU.com. Use promo code DSP. Save 15% even off the clearance items. And get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wing shirt, rock your Lions shirt, rock your Old English D to the Tiger games, rock your Piston apparel, wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanatic U. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out, FanaticU.com.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah, that's right. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Who's in the house? The brothers in the house. Gotta turn it on out, let you know what we about. Kinda like Cain and Abel, a bit unstable. Don't be breaking the brain, break the whole damn table.
Right now, joining us on the phone is Detroit Sports Nation's own Julius Porter. Julius, in the last couple weeks, man, you've wrote some scathing pieces on these Lions. I need to know, where is all this vitriol coming from, bro?
Well, I guess it's safe to say that when I first started writing, I always kept in mind that I always wanted to be the voice of the fans. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now, and I'm sure every fan would agree with most of the stuff I write. We are a very angered fan base. What has transpired this year is patience is just totally gone with this fan base, and I'm just writing the point of view of thousands of other Lions fans everywhere.
You wrote a really good piece, basically asking Mrs. Ford to kind of sit there and clean house, and you gave her step-by-step guidelines on what she should do here. You highlighted it in 4 points. Out of those 4 points that you wrote, one I believe was fire basically everybody in-house that was part of Matt Millen's regime, blow Jim Caldwell out, sit there and try to figure out what's going on with Matt Stafford, whether or not you can win with him or not, and lastly, sit down with Bill Ford Jr. and see if he wants to keep the team or not. Out of those 4 steps, what do you think was the most important one for this team to get things righted? Because me and John just had basically a half-hour talk about what the Lions need to do, and I think we both have our own mindset on what has to happen. But out of those 4 points that you named, what do you think is the most important?
I think the most important would actually be the last one. I think the Fords, it all starts with them. They're as high as you go in the Lions hierarchy. So I think Martha Ford, Bill Ford Jr. need to sit down and come to realization of where this organization is headed and decide if they want to be the people that change the culture, or if they want to pass that on Martha Ford, she's getting older. There's rumors that Bill Ford Jr. is not really interested in taking over. So if that's the case, then they need to put the team up for sale and give it to somebody who's ready to change things. And like I said, it all starts up there with them. Once they figure it all out, everything will trickle down. It may take time, but it all starts with the Fords.
Exactly. It begins and ends with ownership all the way down to management, coaching, and it's just been really super tough. But then after a tough, disastrous game versus Kansas City, they come back. I know they don't have to do the press conference that Monday, but Jim Caldwell comes out on Tuesday and kind of starts talking about the vibe in the building regarding the media. You might have to be called into his office and be like, hey, man, tone it down. But I don't really feel like the media is overly negative. When you're 1-7 and the product isn't that good, I think he should know that and be prepared for some speculation regarding your job and what the heck's going on. It's not like we're losing games tight. The Lions are playing so bad that it's obvious something's going on with coaching and with the schemes that are going on.
Jim Caldwell knows why fans are angry. He knows why the media asks him the questions they ask, because it all starts with us. They serve us. They represent us. The city Detroit is on their jerseys. They play at Ford Field. They are there to make us happy. And he knows that his team has not done a good job of that. And he knows that the fingers are mainly going to be pointing his way. So right now, and I kind of mentioned this in my last article yesterday, he is pretty much reaching out for help, really. He's reaching out into nothingness. He's lost. He knows that the season is lost. He knows that everything's going to come crashing down, and he's going to be an effect of that. So I think maybe the comments he made yesterday at the press conference was more frustration or desperation, per se. But Jim Caldwell, he knows that was going to upset people. He knows the end is near.
Now, when we do this podcast and I tweet out at our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, there are some people who will say, hey, your slant is a little bit negative. Why are you writing in this fashion? The Lions, if they just change this or that, they're not that far away. What's been the response to your article? Do you get comments that say, hey, man, you're going a little bit too far negative?
Oh, definitely not. 98% of the comments on my articles are in agreement with what I'm writing. Like I said, I write in the point of view of the average Lions fan. The average Lions fan is one of the most long-suffering fans in all of sports. And we're not close. We're not close. This is going to keep happening over and over again if this organization continues to run things the way they're running. It starts with the Fords all the way down. If they keep doing the things they're doing over and over again, us fans are just going to continue to suffer. So I have no remorse for the words I'm saying, because the words I'm saying are as real as it gets, and Lions fans know that. That's why they overwhelmingly agree with me.
What's your take on Jim Caldwell? Do you feel like he's kind of lost this team and he's basically lost control? Because when I see him up during the press conferences and he starts calling the media out, I really don't have a good feeling that he's really in control anymore. I feel like he's losing it, and maybe the losing, like you said, is kind of starting to take its toll. Yeah,
I think actually when he started to begin to lose the team was after the Seattle game. Mm-hmm. And what transpired after that game with the refs blowing the batted ball out of bounds call and the way the Lions lost that game, I think that's when things really started to break down for Jim Caldwell and his control of the team. And then you get to the whole firing of Joe Lombardi. That's just stuff that Lions personnel in this organization have been doing for decades. They try to put the blame away from themselves. And, Jim Caldwell has lost his team. It's evident. Everybody knows it. I don't think there's no way he can regain it back other than some unbelievable run at the end of the season to where they get to, 500, 7-9. But that's not – things need to start changing now.
On the phone with us right now from the Detroit Sports Nation is Julius Porter. He's written a lot of articles basically covering your decrepit Lions team, and he, like he says, covers them in the point of view of you, the fan. Julius, we're going to get you out of here on this last one. Do you see Jim Caldwell making it through the end of this season?
Just because they're the Lions, I do. I believe that he will survive all 16 games, but whether or not ownership decides to change, the president or the GM, Martin Mayhew, gets fired, I think Jim Caldwell's out the door either way. I would like to see it as first Lewan goes and then Mayhew goes and it all trickles down to Caldwell. But either way, I think Caldwell's fate is sealed just because of the high expectations that people had for the Lions this year, and it's just so disappointing. And right now there's little hope in Lion Land, but who knows? Maybe things can change. I hope they can change because I'll always be a Lions fan. And everybody else will always be a Lions fan. People like to say, I'm done with the Lions, That's not really reality. People will still love the Lions, and they're waiting for them to win one day and be the winners we all want them to be.
So, Julius, I want you to do one thing. This is all you got to do this week, and we can maybe push forward with the Lions. I want you to close your eyes, say a couple thoughts for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to have the best game of their lives, to really play well, practice well, and to come out and destroy the Lions 65-3. Because one more embarrassment.
You're giving them 3?
I think one more embarrassment, Julius, and I think we're close. One more disastrous performance, if we wish for it, can help turn the tide of this franchise. So just do that for us. Thank you very much. I enjoy reading your articles. You can follow him on Twitter at the Honolulu Blue, and we're going to send you out a couple tweets and read his articles at DetroitSportsNation.com. Great stuff, Julius.
Thanks, Doc and Jock. You guys keep doing a great job.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Julius writes for the average fan, and the average fan is not happy. That's just the way it is. No one's happy except maybe the players cashing those checks. You know, I know they're not happy with the performance, but hey, it definitely eases the blow when you're getting paid $250K every 2 weeks.
Those guys, they're so disappointing.
One last thing before. Good news. Friend of the podcast. We haven't talked to her in a while. Megan McCormick has been returning my text. She actually gave me her cell phone number. Hey, now.
Oh.
So now I can text her. And
Suki.
So we're going to chat with her shortly. But just in the end, if you're Stafford and Megatron.
No dirty pics sent to her, all right?
No,
you can't
nothing.
do that. You can't do that.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, don't do that.
You're Stafford and Megatron right now. You're on the verge of maybe some contracts, and you're making some good money. Why not just ask to leave? I mean, I know you're ride or die with the boys, but put yourself in their shoes. Would you stick up with this for 8 years? Megatron is going down the road of Barry. I mean, what? You are doomed to repeat history if you don't learn from it. Barry said nothing, and he walked away. Calvin is nicked up. Why go out like this whimpering? Go out a winner. Just walk in there and be like, I did my job. No one's going to hate on him.
There's a way.
Walk away.
There's a way to do it where he doesn't look like he's turned his back on the city. He goes into the office, sits down with Martin Mayhew, and he says, look, I'm willing to do whatever is best for this team so it can win in the future, because it's obvious we're not going to win now. If that requires you to trade me, trade me. That requires anything else I can do for this organization, do it. But if you have to, I'm open to being traded. That's all you got to do, bro.
I mean, you're not giving up. Be a winner. You're not going to be a winner. You're going to end your career with what? Zero, with nothing. He's got stats, and he's got money. But for me, that wouldn't be enough.
No.
It wouldn't be enough. I need to win.
Dude, when you play to win. You play for championships.
The ring, baby.
That's it.
And it's not going to happen here.
I don't understand.
And I wouldn't be all that mad because it's going to take time, and the organization as a whole is a disaster.
Dude,
but
I'll be honest with you. I love Calvin Johnson. I love everything that he brings to this team. But if it's better for the future to trade him, to trade Matt Stafford, to trade anybody else that wants any piece of whatever is on this team, I'm okay with them trading them. I'm fine with it. I don't care if we play the next 8 games with Dan Orlovsky as our quarterback. I understand what that means, and I know what that's going to do this year for this franchise. You already got your 1 win, so you avoid the history books there. That's all you really wanted to do. You're not winning anything this season. The season is over. Trade what you got to trade. Get some picks. Get some pieces back in return. If you get some pieces in return, you can start the rebuild now. And that's all I think fans want. I think fans understand this. Well, at least most of the fans do. Some of the people who were tweeting me on Twitter the other day, I don't think they fully get where we're at right now. But whatever.
Yeah, next week's show will probably do more of like, hey, you know, in the offseason, would you move this for that and this for that, and look into what potentially you could do to fix the problems off the field. But, man, it's just tough. It's just tough all around. It's a downtime, and I tweeted out yesterday, I think the only thing left, the only thing that would cement the crappiness of the organization is for Donald Trump to come out and be like, you know, Forbes has done it. All the national media has done it. It's for Trump to come out and tell Jeb Bush, dude, you run your state like the Lions are.
Ooh, that'd be a slap in the face.
Just right there at the debate, and he references the Lions in terms of their ineptness. That would probably put the stamp on it. What's it going to take? I mean, the Fords don't care. It's not. They care, but they just don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, I really think they're in over their head running a national football team here. I just don't think. I think Mr. Ford was really hands off and really laissez-faire, and it appears Bill Ford wants nothing to do with this pile of garbage. So if Martha's going to run it, I think Martha needs to get somebody in that office who knows what they're doing.
All right, let's check in with Megan. Let's see what's going on with her. She messaged me and was like, hey, I want to get back on. There's a lot for her to talk about. I know she's a big Wings fan, Detroit fan. Let's check in with our friend from Los Angeles, Fox Sports 1 out there in L.A., Megan McCormick, right after this. Stay with us. I want to tell everyone out there about DetroitSportsNation.com. They're a great website, and they've been very supportive to all the shows on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They host all the podcasts. They have great writers that cover all the Detroit teams, all the college teams. Check out their website and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. The collaboration has been excellent, and it's helped us to continue to grow and have great guests take phone calls. So our collaboration with the Detroit Sports Nation has really been successful, and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. On the phone with us, she dialed us up again. She looked us up, and she's like, I know these guys from Detroit. Let me dial them up and talk some sports. Megan McCormick from L.A., Fox Sports 1. How are you? Welcome back to Doc and Jock.
What's up? It's so good to talk to you. It's been a while. It's been a minute.
It has been too long. I'm glad that you decided to peek at your Twitter and like, wait a minute, these guys are filling up my timeline.
It's always great to talk to you guys. It really is.
Oh, man.
Feels like home.
Oh, my goodness.
As I'm standing in the sun.
It's actually been nice here in Michigan. The weather was nice, except for Halloween. It's been actually nice, a little bit high 60s. Very nice weather.
Oh, that's perfect. And during the fall. I mean, you can't beat that going to like football games on Friday night.
Yes. So, do you want to start with the pain or some good news with the Wings? Because obviously the Lions have been terrible, but the Wings and Pistons, not so bad.
I mean, do we even need to talk about the Lions? Like, how? First of all, it's depressing enough, like, to be a Lions fan. And then after this season, like, the hilarity of, like, what our lives are as fans of the Detroit Lions. I mean, I live out in L.A. where, like, the Detroit Lions is kind of like a laughable situation for a lot of my friends out here. And I just find it that if you don't make it a joke at this point, then you're just going to be depressed all the time. I mean, my mother, who is, bless her heart, 60 years old, texted me this weekend, wow, what about those Lions? My mother. Like, she doesn't even watch football. She still knows how disappointing and how depressing it is to deal with the situation.
Yeah, Adam said the same thing. His mom's like, can they be this bad? Oh, my gosh, it's disastrous. It's really bad out there. And the Lions have just, it's a national joke now. It's one of those things where we're just trying to grab onto anything with this team. I mean, Coach Caldwell came out blasting the media for being too negative, calling the interview room the dungeon of doom. It's just everything associated with the Lions. Listen, we were going to try to work out a trade, you and I, take the Lions and maybe give us something like an expansion team. We'll work something out. Take them away from us.
I know, really. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like, I guess everybody's babbling about, it's upper management, like with the coaching change, didn't really do anything. Like, some people don't like Caldwell's style. I get that. But, I mean, there's a lot of problems with this team. I mean, there isn't one thing you're going to pinpoint. I mean, you don't have a team like this without a severe lack of judgment in a lot of places in an organization. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really is. Sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. So let's get off the Lions real fast because Adam and I ranted and raved for about 30 minutes about the Lions. We can't take it anymore. Week in, week out.
Okay.
It's all bad news. But some good news. I know you're a big fan of the Red Wings. I really like I know you only tweet once every 2 months, but one of your
I'm gonna get better. Okay?
One of your great tweets was you were there. I believe at Joe Louis Arena in 2008 or 9 when the Wings played the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they scored a goal late in the game to tie it up. Your face was priceless.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'll never forget that because they were supposed to win that game. I think it was game 5, and Wings were up 3-1. So if they won, like, they were going to win the Stanley Cup. And literally, Pitt scored. That video that you saw, there was like a random guy behind me taking a flip phone video, 2008, but back in the oldies, but it's like this crappy video, and he caught the face. Literally, it's the most genuine shock on my face ever. There were like 8 seconds left. Pittsburgh scored, tied it up 3-3, went into triple overtime, and Pittsburgh ended up winning. So I still haven't seen the Wings win a Stanley Cup in front of my face, but I almost did.
Oh man, oh my gosh! Talk about a missed opportunity. That close to celebrate.
It's so great, though.
Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, I know. I mean, literally, that was the most genuinely shocking face. It was just so funny. I couldn't believe. I mean, we're all standing up, ready to see the Stanley Cup, and Pitt wasn't ready to give it to us yet.
And now they got a new head coach. They're off to a 6-5-1 start. They're playing up and down. A little bit of complaints regarding the lack of shots, the lack of shot production with the team, but the goalie situation has improved. Howard is battling Mrazek game in, game out. They look good.
Absolutely.
What has been your impressions?
What do you expect? What do you expect with a new coach? Like, it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute to get it together. But what I've seen so far, I think they're looking great. I think the new kid that they have on the team, mixed with Applicator, I think they're going to kill it. Come probably end of February. Maybe when they play the Rangers to get it together. But you have to give them a minute. Like, I feel like hockey is such a long season, and people, living in LA, people really don't pay that much attention until late in the season, because they don't really. I know the Kings have won 2 Stanley Cups and blah 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 blah, but I don't know. I just feel like I have a really good feeling about this team. I think they're going to be way better than last year. I think they're going to make it. I think they're going to make it pretty far in postseason.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people are now turning their attention away from the Lions and onto the Pistons and Wings. And last year you came back in town a little bit of time covering some high school football and some stuff for the Wings for Fox Sports Detroit. Did you like that experience last year?
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. It was so amazing. Honestly, I covered the GLI, the Great Lakes Invitational, for college hockey when U of M won this year. And that was my first game I ever covered in the Joe, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was cool because a lot of those kids that were not kids, college athletes that were playing, a lot of them, it was the first time playing at the Joe, so I kind of got to experience that moment with them. I wasn't playing, but being a reporter, and growing up a Red Wings fan, I wasn't covering a Red Wings game, but to be in the Joe and cover a game when there's only 2 years left of the Joe, it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my whole life. And everybody was so excited to be there. Like, you really can feel the energy when you walk into that place. You can, and there's just so much history, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Can't say enough good things about it.
No, great news. I know that you've had aspirations of doing a lot of things in sports, and you did a great job seeing you on Fox Sports, and now I hear that potentially you have new opportunities near the Midwest area?
Yeah, I don't want to, give it away too much because it hasn't been officially announced yet, but it looks like I'm going to be back in the Midwest come the second week of December, and I'm going to be finishing up some Big Ten football, we'll do some Big Ten basketball, and it'll be in Ohio, not quite Detroit, but I'm going to come home for a couple years and do some full-time on-air work, and I'll have to leave LA for a minute, but I'll get through it.
Yeah, you'll get through it. Your Instagram account's nice. I know you like to go out to the beach. You like the restaurants. That life out there is nice. You ready to leave that kind of life for Midwest life?
It is. I grew up in the Midwest, and this is all a big plan. This is all a big plan for me. I wanted to come out, and I wanted to work in a big market like LA, and work for a company like Fox Sports and Fox Sports 1. And I was lucky enough to be here when we launched FS1 and FS2, and seeing a network launch. How rare is that? You don't really get to see something like that happen from the inside out, and I was able to do that. So learning a lot about the industry, learning a lot about sports. When I came out here, talk about hockey, Kings hadn't won a Stanley Cup yet, and I've been out here, they've won twice. So even just seeing the community and how they've rallied around hockey, which makes me just happy in general. And, being out here and really seeing from the inside out, what it's been like working for such an amazing company. I cannot say enough good things about Fox Sports. If you ever get a chance to work with them in any capacity, you're better for it, and you're lucky for it. So, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to come back home, but I made my connections out here, and we'll see if I can make this a double take and come back in a year or two.
Megan McCormick, Fox Sports 1 LA, joining us. She's a friend of the podcast, doing some big things. She'll be talking to us more. And the great thing is, I like the fact that you said, hey, I want to come on the podcast. You love talking sports. It's all good. We like to hear that passion and excitement. And we look forward to it.
We gotta make this like a weekly thing when I get out to Ohio. Second week of December.
Sounds good.
I'll work on my social media.
Yes, I told you that you need to work on the social media.
I'll tweet 1 or 2 more times.
Sounds good. So then we'll wrap up on this. The last time we talked, you were leading the single life, having fun out there. So are you coming to the Midwest unattached?
Yes, I am. Thank you for reminding me. Please tell my grandparents.
Okay, no, that's what the good thing is.
Yes, I am.
The good thing is things are looking up because, for you, California boys, I don't think so. I think you need to find a good, solid, nice Midwest young man, and, things are looking up. Things are looking up for you.
If you want to work on that, you go right ahead. I'm happy for help.
Yes,
But no, I mean, obviously, like, when you're in a situation like I am and you're a woman, it's very interesting because I've been told by a lot of people in this industry that it's a lonely life sometimes. You travel a lot and, it's hard to have a family and to keep up with a relationship when you're, a woman and you're traveling all the time. It really isn't an easy life. So needless to say, I'm only 27. I have not been focusing on that yet, and I'm not really that worried about it. I'm kind of more excited to just get this career started, this on-air career, see what we can do with it.
Good for you. Big things ahead for Megan McCormick. We look forward to chatting with you much more, and thank you for being a friend of the podcast and still checking with us after a year. You got it. Don't be a stranger.
No, listen, 4 weeks, and I'll be back.
All right, sounds good.
Let's do this again. Thank you so much. You guys are the best.
Always interesting checking in with our girl Megan out there. Fox Sports 1 LA. Man, oh man. It's actually, the weather here's been nice the last week. Halloween sucked.
Dude, it's been beautiful
nice
since
stuff.
Halloween.
Well, wasn't beautiful? The Pistons playing Indiana. My goodness. We all thought they would go 4-0, but in the end, the bench didn't show up. They got outworked and out-hustled, and wow, the starters played okay. Andre Drummond is balling, and a lot of people have been given good perspective. Had he stayed in college, this would be his first pro year, and just goes to show you, if you play all 4 years, he would have came out double-double, and
would have been a number 1 overall pick.
But he has developed. He may be balling out a little bit more for the contract, and his talent is now coming to fruition. I mean, 25 points, 29 rebounds is going to open your eyes. He's gotten multiple double-doubles now, and this is the guy that we needed when we draft. This is what production you need when you draft a guy high in the first round. This is what we're talking about, baby. But it didn't come to fruition in the victory. We're 3-1 up ahead of a brutal 6-game stretch on the West Coast. But the early start for the Pistons has been fun to watch because they're working hard. They're playing solid defense. They're playing together as a team. And they won despite not shooting that great. But, the way they played versus Indiana was kind of alarming because the starters can't play that many minutes game in, game out. So when you saw that game and the way they played, did you kind of go, ooh, is this like the old Pistons or aberration?
I don't know if it's an aberration. I think this is kind of what you're going to have to deal with throughout most of this season. I think on some nights they're going to look like world beaters, and you're going to want to pencil them in to the finals playing for the NBA championship. And then I think on other nights you're going to sit there and you'll be like, ooh, they might not even make the playoffs if they play like that. If you go back and you watch that Indiana game, this is what's going to happen when Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's not hitting shots. This is what's going to happen when Marcus Morris isn't taking over parts of the game. This is what's going to happen when you've got Reggie Jackson turning the ball over at an alarming clip. These are just things that are going to happen. This team is not good enough for those players not to perform every night. Andre Drummond showed up. Andre Drummond played big last night. But Reggie Jackson, he kind of failed to deliver.
Stanley Johnson. Eesh.
Right.
That was bad.
Right.
He was pressing.
Marcus Morris failed to deliver. KCP failed to deliver. And you're right. Stanley Johnson, a guy who has looked really good in the first 3 games. Like you said, he was pressing. He was trying to make things happen. And I think that's kind of what happened with Reggie Jackson as well. He got out of his lane, tried making things happen. And when that happens, all you're doing is you're turning the ball over. You can't do that. This team's not good enough to win that way. So I think if they sit there and they kind of play within their own lanes, I think they'll be okay. And what I mean by that is if you fall behind early, don't sit there and don't start pressing. Just stick to the game plan. Stick to what you do best. This team is built on hitting 3-point shots. Hitting 3-point shots and getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. So just work the ball around because when it works beautifully. They have a lot of good ball movement, swinging it from one side to the other side, and it opens up shots around the arc. You can sit there and hit that. You got Ersan Ilyasova. I mean, for a big dude, that guy can stroke the 3 ball. It's all good. Same thing with Marcus Morris. Those guys can hit those deep jumpers and those 3-pointers. So you fall behind, don't press. Because the moment they started pressing, that was when that game slipped away.
Now, remember what I said earlier in the year and when they started putting this team together. I said that fundamentally, I'm not sure I like the way the team is built because in order to be effective now in the NBA, you have to have shooters. And what's been the struggles now? They've won the first 3 games, but what's been the struggle? Shooting percentages, the 3-point shot, when it goes off again, like I said, the worry that I had, they're not making them consistently. In Stan Van Gundy's offense, you're going to need to have solid ball movement, and you're going to need to hit the open shot.
Right.
And it's not that easy to do. I mean, if you're a 45% shooter, you're making big bucks in the NBA. But right now, they're shooting just around 40% and a little bit under when they struggle. And from the 3-point line, it's not good. The numbers from the 3-point line for the team so far, not good. It's obvious. So I'm a little bit worried. You're trying to do what Golden State did, but you don't got Curry out there who can, once he shoots, you feel confident he's going to make it. But right now, it's 3-1. All I'm expecting is a 500 trip out west. The tough part is there's a lot of back-to-backs. Those second games are tough, and a lot of people call them scheduling losses because they're super tough. I know the game versus Sacramento is winnable. Maybe the Lakers, I think, if they play them. But the rest of the games are potentially challenging. But the good thing about the Pistons right now, well coached, there's one leader and one voice who can get the most out of them. He's got a system in place, and they're trying to work it. They're playing very well, solidly. And the teams they beat were playing well besides losing to the Pistons. So beating Utah, Atlanta, and Chicago is no small feat. They were in the games. They played hard. And it just sucked that they played like that versus Indiana because you had the fans slowly but surely peaking, like word of mouth is trickling, like, hey, these guys can ball. These guys can ball.
Dude,
and
I
then
tuned into
20-0 run. 20-0 run? Can't have that.
I tuned into that game
home.
over the wings. I tuned into that game
did
over
you?
the wings.
Wow.
Like, I was flipping back and forth, but I spent the majority of my evening watching that game. That's like the Pistons have got me. They have my attention. And that's something that we couldn't say last year.
Why'd you have to tune in, man?
I might have been the jinx. I don't know.
Well, our guy too, Jerry Mallory, host of the Hindsight 20 podcast on Mondays, he was in attendance, tweeting us nice pictures. He's a big basketball fan, and he was there, and he was like, "Whoa, that bench was pretty brutal." And they're veterans. Tolliver, you don't expect terrible second unit play when you got some experienced guys. The guy from San Antonio, it's just that was bad. And in front of the fans, too. You don't want to leave that taste in the mouth in front of the fans. You're trying so hard to get them back, and that's what you did. It wasn't that good. But if they come back from the 6-game swing, 4-2, and things like that, then you have a more solid chance of getting that fan base excited because a lot of people are skeptical. A lot of people have them at 40 to 45 wins. Justin Rose, friend of the podcast, has them at 50. So he bought into the Kool-Aid way before the season started. But I don't think 50 wins is the ceiling for this team. I think the ceiling is between 40 and 45. That's where I think logistically you can see them based on the talent that they have. And the fact of the matter is, remember, young guys, it's still early in the tenure of Stan Van Gundy. He needs one more draft class, one more free agent class, really to kind of get the engine rolling. So I'm excited, though. Play like that, play solid, and we can have some success.
Yeah, I really think what this team's going to need and what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to get help from that bench. You're right. 2 points from your bench, that's not cutting it. And you're not going to win games like that. Now, when you sit there and you look at how they won the previous 3 games, they got a lot of help from their bench. They had really good ball movement. And like I said, they weren't pressing. So if they can get some help from their bench, I think they're going to be competitive in this East. And I think that's something that we need to watch for and we need to be mindful of. I think the Pistons are going to have a good team this year. I don't see them struggling like they struggled last year. I don't see them going into hot and cold streaks like they did last year. I mean, last year they were so bipolar. Sit there and you'd rip off 10 and then you'd go cold for 20 and then you'd come back and you'd rip off 7 and then you go cold for 5. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think this loss is an aberration. I think this is part of what you're going to get right now. I think this team is building towards what Stan Van wants, what he wants his team to be, and how he wants them constructed. And you're absolutely right. The way the offense is built,
got to hit the shots.
It's predicated on that 3-point shot
all day, baby. I don't know.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm more along the lines of feed the rock to Andre, baby, and get easier shots. 25 and 29, easier shots, higher percentage shots are better than 3-point shots. And I know people like to shoot nowadays from farther out, but I'm more liking give the ball to Andre and the guys in the middle, Ersan and Andre, baby, and play defense.
Yeah, I generally like that too. The higher quality shots, the better. But Stan Van Gundy he's in control of what he's got.
And
right
don't
now.
discount the loss. Don't discount
the way he wants it.
Don't discount the loss of Jody Meeks.
That's huge. That's huge.
He was the focal point of that second unit, and now he's out. Man, we're paying him a ton of money. He's injury prone, I guess you could say, but it's tough luck. But him not being there is not something that you can just say, oh, okay, fine, we can replace him. That's a tough loss.
He's looking at 3 to 4 months too.
It's a tough
which
injury.
Is brutal.
Anytime a basketball player has issues with his foot, knees, you got big problems. Hands. It's a tough loss, and one that maybe will bite them in the butt later on. If we had a healthy shooter, healthy Jody Meeks, it might be a little bit better.
What you can say though is this defense looks 10 times better than it did last year. I mean, so far, no 100-point games. 94 points seems to be their average here, but I'll take it, dude. They look they look a lot better on both ends of the court right now.
All right, let's get to these NFL picks. Now, I got a question. I thought we both picked Kansas City to roll the Lions.
Yeah,
Did
you
we?
wish.
We didn't. Did we both pick the Lions?
We both picked the Lions.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Were we high? What the hell was wrong with us?
We thought that there was going to be, well, I think you were playing strategy.
Yeah, of course.
And, of course. And I was playing that this team was going to get going underneath Jim Bob Cooter.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah.
We had a terrible week. We only got one right of the 4 games. Man, we're terrible. So we only picked up a point each, but whatever. You're leading 18-14. We got to pick up our game. I know it's tougher to predict the spreads early in the week, but hey, we got to do it. We got to step up our game. So this is the NFL Pick'em Challenge. Jock is leading 18-14. What you got, sir?
All right, with my very first pick, this team was hot last week, and I think they're going to kind of continue. I got the New Orleans Saints -8 hosting the Tennessee Titans. The Titans just fired their head coach. You said it earlier in the podcast after a 3-20 start. So why would things change now? New Orleans look good. They got that offense going. They hung 52 on the Giants last week. So I'm going to take Drew Brees and his face scar, -8.
All right, Pittsburgh struggled in the return of Ben Roethlisberger. It's really tough for Pittsburgh right now due to the loss of Le'Veon Bell. But I like the fact they got D'Angelo Williams. I like the fact that Ben's back now, second game back. He should reestablish that connection to Antonio Brown. And so I like Pittsburgh to defeat Oakland on Sunday, 1 o'clock. With my first pick, I'm taking Pittsburgh -4 over Oakland.
All right. With my second pick, I got the Buffalo Bills -3 hosting the Miami Dolphins. Look, Dan Campbell is super cute, and his trick plays are even more cute. But after that, the Dolphins are a bad football team just like your Detroit Lions. The Bills have a defense. They look to be getting healthier behind the line of scrimmage. And on top of all that, they're coming off a bye. So I'm taking Sexy Rexy's Bills.
So now you have a great matchup Sunday, 1 p.m. You got Green Bay going to Carolina. I know that Aaron Rodgers plays well after loss. He's going to look to avenge that dismal performance. This point spread now is Green Bay -2.5. I think they're going to win the game. I do think that he's going to play very well and put up those numbers like he's used to, and that Denver defense was outstanding. It's going to be a tight game, but I do believe Green Bay is going to win. So with my second pick, I'm taking Green Bay -2.5 over Carolina on the road.
All right, with my third pick, I've got the Jets. They look like a good team. They have a good defense. They have a good offense. I like their coach. I like them a lot better than what we got going on here. I'm not 100% sold on the Jags yet, especially going on the road. So I'm going to take the Jets with Slackjaw himself, Geno Smith.
With my third pick, Johnny Manziel is coming back. Cleveland's a mess. I mean, you got the Cleveland, the Browns, the Lions. Their teams are just abysmal. They can't get things right. So finally they've decided, hey now, Johnny Manziel should be the starter. I like the fact that they're getting 11 points. I know it's on the road Thursday night, but I think he's going to play well. They showed some life. I do think Cincinnati's going to win, but Cleveland's going to cover. So with my third pick, I got Cleveland +11.
All right, since we don't have a Lions game,
yay,
we're going to go with the Monday night game. That's going to be our 2-point swing right there. It's the Bears at San Diego.
Nice game.
I'm taking San Diego all day. Phillip Rivers loves to chuck the rock. I know that he lost his favorite wide receiver, Keenan Allen, who's got a lacerated kidney. I don't trust the Bears, even though they're coming off a bye. I think San Diego can sit there and put up the points, so I'm going to lay the 4, and I'm taking the Chargers.
All right, this could be the deciding factor. It's going to be a good game. I know that whenever you bet on Jay Cutler, it's never easy.
No.
Strategy would say I'm supposed to follow you, but I got to make up some ground. So either I'm going big or going home. I'm going to take the points. So give me the Bears +4 and San Diego. It's going to be a nice, tight game, maybe an overtime game, hoping. Give me the 4 points. Give me the points.
Oh, boy, look at you going out on a limb.
Hey, go big or go home.
That's right.
That was a good podcast, bro. I know.
Man.
Actually, you know what? I've now kind of pinpointed my fandom. I'm livid, frustrated. My emotions run high for about 24 hours after the game. Then I get back to my rational self. After a terrible performance, I'm usually hot that Sunday into Monday. By Tuesday and Wednesday, I get back to my normal self. So it's a good time for us to record the podcast. But I'm still, my status update with the Lions is, it's a terrible organization. You got to fix things. This fan base deserves better. It's not fair the way you've treated us. It's not fair. Get it right. All you got to do, even if you have to listen to the fans, it's better to listen to what you guys have been doing. Listen to somebody, but don't listen to whoever you've been listening to. That's my take.
Yeah, dude. Lions have to sit
Fix
there.
this mess.
Yeah.
Fix this mess. Fix this mess. I can't be gray. I can't be salt and pepper in my hair waiting for the Lions to play good. I can't be. And of course, you know who the opportunists, the haters, they're coming out like Kenny. He's all like, this team sucks. I want that to stop. I want them to win this. I want the Broncos to get to the Super Bowl and lose, because Kenny stepped up to a higher level of disappointment. His Broncos get to the Super Bowl and lose. Our team can't even get there. But
just win a playoff game. That's all we want. Just win.
Just win.
That's all you got to do. Just get to the playoffs.
And when you look at it big picture-wise, if you can't win with a number one quarterback and a number one receiver, what are you going to do with less?
Yeah.
Keep on waiting, brother. Keep on waiting. It's a riddle that we can't solve.
They just need to clean house. That's the only thing that's going to fix this, man.
You got patience to wait another 5 years?
I don't have patience for another 5 years. And it's been
You're going to have? Oh, it's not going to be. You think you can clean house and rebuild it right away?
I don't think you can clean house and rebuild right away, but it's been proven you can do it in less time. So I don't think they need 5 years. I don't think it's that far gone. Maybe it is that far gone. I don't know, man. It's bad, though. They need to clean house.
Okay. By episode
you
2...
just depressed me. I was all happy about these Pistons.
By episode 217...
Now you go ahead and depress
By episode
me.
217, we'll be talking about a new general manager. We'll see.
I hope so.
For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John McEnroe. Want to thank the great guests who call us. Can't do the show without the support of those who listen to us, who have been downloading on Podomatic, Stitcher, iTunes, Podbay, our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. The support has been great. I look forward to maybe seeing Adam again on the WXYZ.com webcast. I think you were a big hit. The infection kind of hit the internet waves there. It's starting, baby. Tidal wave is growing, and it was good to see you on that, and maybe see you again.
Yeah, hopefully this week we've got to get a hold of Justin and see what he wants to do here. But yeah, it was good, man. It was a lot of fun. And next time I know what camera to look into, so we'll be good to go.
For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John McEnroe, Detroit Sports Podcast Network, Doc and Jock, episode 117 in the books.
Go Lions, we can say that. They're on a bye.
Thanks, Doc and Jock. You guys keep doing a great job.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I have voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. They talk to me, they tell me things that I will do, they show me things I'll do you, they talk to me.